Bias. We are in the studio once again on a beautiful day here in Seattle, Washington. Yes, we are back on the air. Glad to be here with y'all this lovely afternoon here. Friday. Yes. Happy Friday, y'all. Yes, we have our guest here, Miss Priya Dandawate, financial strategist and trauma coach today with us. So we're going to be talking about all finances today, and helping us as business owners, individuals out there, to move forward beside some of the trials and triumphs it is that we have when it comes to finances. So Miss Priya, how are you doing today?
I am doing great. How are you?
Good. Glad to have you on the show with us this afternoon. We're going to go ahead and let me, before we jump into the interview this afternoon, is go ahead and give y'all some updates. Let you know what we're doing here at Women Empowerment Talk Radio, but also to Women in Business Expo Group. So, first off, we are working with Echo Glen Youth Detention Center. Yes, this is our second year with this program, and we are so excited. We are looking once again for those panelists, guest speakers to come on out, take part in our youth entrepreneurship program. We have some exciting guest speakers, it is. And if you are a guest speaker, if you are someone it is that is interested in helping the youth, with some entrepreneurship. Maybe you want to volunteer, whatever your service may be. We are looking for you. So if you are interested in coming out, taking a part of the Youth Entrepreneurship Program, you can definitely email us, Women in Business Expo Group at yahoo.com. Take a look at the website, y'all, www.wibeg.biz. There you can find updates and information, everything it is that we have going on. And again, like I said, we are looking for guest speakers, panelists, it is, those that want to take part in helping the young people there at Echo Glen Youth Detention Center. Our program is going to run this year from July to October. So if you are interested, and let me share this with y'all. You don't have to be here in Washington State. If you are located in another state, definitely we can have you on as a guest speaker, a panelist, a volunteer, whatever your interest may be. And again, like I said, you can go ahead and contact us directly. That's Women in Business Expo Group at yahoo.com for more information and details. Also, too, want to let y'all know, Women in Business Expo Group, the website is up. Oh, we're doing amazing things. All right. Yes. So if you are a business owner, you're looking for a place to place your products and services, definitely check out the website. That's www.wibeg.biz. There you can find the e-commerce site. There's a directory there. Oh, we're doing great things, y'all. Just serving our community and letting others know, the importance of being self-sufficient, being an entrepreneur. So definitely, again, you can take a look at that website. That's www.wibeg.biz, and continue to check us out on Facebook, Women in Business Expo Group. All right, y'all. Once again, I want to go ahead and announce our guest this afternoon. As I stated, we are going to be talking all about finances here today. And I know there's many out there that need her services. So, Miss Priya, why don't you go ahead and let our listeners know a little bit more about you? Why don't you go ahead and give us some background?
Awesome. Well, my name is Priya Kumar, and I am a financial trauma coach. And I focus mainly on finances, so in small business owners or in individuals. So my background comes into this area. It comes from being a financial investigator for over 12 years. I worked for the government as a financial investigator. And when I started, I hated it because I hated calling these people and telling them that they were in trouble with the government and they needed to cough up this money that they already claimed that they don't have. So I had to really change my approach and go in with empathy. And I was like, why do the majority of businesses, small business owners mainly, fail within the first 5 years of starting their own business? So I would ask them questions. I wanted to learn more. So I would ask them their stories, how they started their business, what were they doing, all those things. And what I noticed in this whole time was that they did not have a relationship with their money.
Mm.
And when they didn't, when you don't have a relationship with something, you're not really going to make the time and effort to get to know it better. And that's where the lack of financial literacy came in. So yeah, so when I started coaching, I was like, I want to really attack this part from the psychological standpoint. What is it that's missing out here, right? So I, at first, I started as just as a profit coach. So people who find me online and stuff like that, they will see that it says profit coach or financial strategist. And that's the reason, because I was focusing on helping businesses really understand money and become profitable and sustainable, so they don't close their doors, 2 years or 5 years down the road. And then I started talking to women groups. So I started looking at women who go through trauma, right? And they get out of it, they build their businesses and all of that stuff. But I also like, what about those people who are starting from zero? Where do they go, right? We hear that, oh, you invest your money, you that's how you grow wealth and all of that stuff. But what about when you don't have money? How do you start? So that's when I focused mainly on financial trauma. And it that in itself started to take off. So that's how I kind of earned my name as a financial trauma coach, because I talk about money from more of an emotional standpoint. Because people, like, we need to understand that anything that we do financially is emotionally motivated.
I believe I've heard that term before, people that are emotionally motivated, when it comes to spending, and not really maybe, thinking it all the way, but they're excited, about spending more money, and that's something it is, I think that we need to definitely take a look at, when it comes to us as business owners, and just as individuals also too. Why don't you go ahead? Now, you mentioned that you were working with the government, correct?
Yes.
Okay. What department were you in? I mean, what was that background like?
Oh, that was like, it was used to be formerly BOE, more for businesses here in California and whatnot, because it's business taxes, and that's the biggest bulk of it, where they handle most of the business taxes and all of that. So yeah, that's where I was, and that's where I gained most of that knowledge. Like, I needed to understand where was this coming from and why were businesses failing. So I'm really grateful that I kind of just got dumped in that position. That wasn't really my plan. But I was like, I graduated college, and it was during the housing market crash, and no one was hiring. So I'm like, you know what? I got bills to pay, so I'm just gonna go apply anywhere, whoever takes me at this point. And it just ended up being a blessing in disguise.
Yeah, and that's normally, kind of how things can work sometimes for you. Why don't you go ahead, let our listeners know, and I know from reading your bio there, you are a business owner yourself. Why don't you go ahead and let our listeners know, what's the name of your business? Also, too, what's your mission statement, and when was the company founded?
Okay, awesome. Yeah. So my business is called Pivot My Profit, and that's just not in financial point. When I talk about profit, I talk about in a sense of like profitizing your own life. So your mental health, your work life balance, all of that. Because if we really look at it, being an entrepreneur, it taxes us on so many levels. So when I say pivot my profit, it's an everything, like, let's get you balanced and up there. So my business name is Pivot My Profit, and the website is pivotmyprofit.com. And what was the second question you asked? Oh, when was it founded? Yes. So my business is a COVID baby. That's when I had all this time, and I was all like, you know what? I want to actually do something more purposeful. Like, what do I do with all of my life experiences and with all of my knowledge that I have gained over time and my professional experience? I'm like, I want to create something that embodies all of it, and I get to share not just my intelligence, but also the emotional side of things, like making sense of money to other people and the areas that really keeps us stuck. So yeah, so that's how that one came about. I just wanted to become more purposeful, and I found my purpose.
that, there's someone out there that deals with finances, the mental and emotional aspect behind finances. So this interview definitely, it sounds like the position it is that you have, it's very unique. So I just wanted to say that because it's very rare that you find someone that deals with the financial, mental and emotional, and how those all intertwine together. So that's definitely, I think, a benefit of working with you, because you look at, the whole person or business.
Yes, yes. So I don't look at just the business itself. I want to know about the business owner too, because I tell my clients all the time, no one is just doing business with you. They're not doing business with your business. They're doing business with you because they want to know what made you start this business. What was your purpose behind it, right? Because we can all just go have jobs and don't have to worry about the stress of the survival of the business and clients and all of that stuff. So anyone starting a business, they're doing it. A lot of the times it's also more purposeful, right? Like they're doing it for a higher purpose. They want to leave a legacy. There's even trauma in that. When we are putting something together, like I don't want to just leave something to my children, but I want to be remembered in a certain way, you know. And that's where it comes from. So yeah, so that's why, like, I'm like, okay, you got to change your perception on how you look at money. It's, yes, it's a tool that makes everything possible, but we give it so much weight in such a toxic way. Like, oh, I can have money, but I cannot have the love of wanting to create that money. It's almost like being stuck in the struggling mindset, right? Oh, I'm just going to really work hard. Yes, I want it, but not really, because I don't want to be that person who changes with money. But if you really look at it, it's just the growth phase. Every stage of your business, every stage of your life, you're going to grow. Things about you is going to grow. Like, change is the only constant variable of life. you know
That's exactly it too. Wow, yeah. Let's I would like for you to kind of touch on a little bit here. When it comes to business, entrepreneurship, finances, everything, how important is relationships? And as you mentioned many times here, and I'm bringing up this question because normally, when I'm speaking to business owners, I let them know, the relationship is so important. Word of mouth is great, marketing, social media, whatever it may be. But when you know someone, that goes such a long way. And like I said, I would love to have you just kind of touch on the importance of relationships, and when it comes to finance, and then the mental and emotional part of that.
Relationship is trust. It's an exchange of trust, value, and hope, right? So if I have a friend, there's the trust that I can count on them. I can reach out to them. They will try to be there for me, right? Because it's not guaranteed. Life is happening for everyone, right? So relationship is that trust. And when we do business with someone, especially small business owners, like, one example that I can give you is, I love um, local coffee shops. That's like my place. I love getting my coffee, sitting there and whatnot. And in the times that we're living in, everyone is buried in their like phone screens and whatnot. And when you build, like, you go into this coffee shop all the time and you build a rapport with the person who's there, right? Eventually they know you so well that if one day you walk in and you don't order your regular, or you don't ask them how they're doing, they look at your face and all of a sudden they know something is wrong. That person from across the counter is going to ask you more genuinely, not just to be nice. They're genuinely going to ask you, how are you doing? Is everything okay? And sometimes, for someone who may be going through so much without really saying anything, that person feels valued. And that's the beauty of relationship. It creates value in that sense. So when I bring it in businesses, I tell them, you're not just selling a product or service, you're selling emotions. You By fixing someone's problem in their life, you are allowing them to show up for their family. right? Like it has like a domino effect. One thing leads to another, and that's the importance of relationship. And that's why it's so important to have a relationship with money. And the simplest emotional way that I can put it is, if money was a person, if you pictured money as a person, and this person was taking care of you, and they said, I don't really want anything in return here, your bills are paid, your food is taken care of, or whatnot, wouldn't we have so much gratitude for that person? There will be love, there will be respect, right? We will have that. But there's so much toxicity when we say money, that we have such a negative relationship. There's fear, there's like, oh, this is the strongest thing a client had said to me one time was, she said, it's a mental terrorism. It's the psychological terrorism for me. That's my relationship with money, because I just never have enough to make the ends meet. So now, like, this is something you need, right? But when you have a negative relationship, your thoughts are always going to be, oh, I'm never going to have enough. So you are never going to have enough, right? Because you have such a toxic relationship with it that you're not even looking at what tools and options you have available to create more of it.
That is excellent, and it just kind of makes me think, back to, I remember a few years ago taking a class in regards to finances and money, and how our past affects how we think about money today. Maybe how we were raised, how our parents looked at money,
Yes, yes,
how
that
they,
is something I yeah, I,
yeah,
I talk about it heavily on like generational money curse, financial trauma. It comes down like how much of it that we carry with us. Not only that we carry generational trauma, but we layer it with our own trauma on top of it. And we never pause to really look at where these behaviors and these habits are coming from. We just guilt and shame ourselves. And if we really look at like intimate relationships, like families, right? Like you meet someone, your significant other, or your children, it's not a conversation that we have. And it's the fear of, we think there's a right or wrong way to approach it, right? Or we think that if someone asks a question and we don't know, we're just going to look stupid, like we don't know enough, right? But the fact is that until you start talking about it and sharing it, you just never know. You're not going to have the clarity of what problems really fully exist, like deeply. And that's what we need to get to, like, okay, where is this behavior coming from? And it goes back to like colonization and slavery and migration. All of that plays such a huge role into this financial trauma.
yes, yes, and that is definitely it too, So for those of you that are out there, let's take a look at our past and how, as Miss Priya said, how did our parents, teach us about money, and maybe where they may have went wrong and where we can make that correction. All right. For those of you that are just tuning in, you're listening to Rainier Avenue Radio.world. This is Women Empowerment Talk Radio. And I'm your host, Carmelle Bias. And we are in the studio today with Miss Priya here. We're talking finances, we're talking mental and emotional, past issues it is that we may have as business owners, as individuals, and how we can overcome those barriers when it comes to finances. Miss Priya, let me ask you this question. We know here that you are a business owner and this is your specialty field here. Please describe to our listeners, what type of individual or business owner, do you look for that may be in need of your services?
It's broad, and there are like so many things, and most people fall into this because we've all done it, and some of us do it. So anyone who is overspending, and they know that they have a problem, they just don't know how to put the brakes on, right? And business owners who are making money, who say, I'm making money, I made this much money, but I'm not paying myself enough. Or they have no idea where their money is going. That's a big one. When I meet clients and they're like, I made $1 million, but I don't know where my money went. It's not in my bank. So like those ones like are my clients. So I look at them, and anyone who has a negative relationship with money, like they shame and guilt themselves. They have credit card debts. There are two sides of that. Like some people are in debt because they can't make the ends meet, right? So they supplement it through credit cards and whatnot. And there are some who are, like they lose their jobs and whatnot, but some of them are habitual. They're like, oh, I have a credit card. It's got this much money on it, so I'm gonna go spend it, or I'm having a bad day. So like retail therapy, like that there is something that's triggering, because it's so easy to find that instant gratification, right? That quick happiness to make yourself feel better. But then where do you draw the line? Where does it stop? Right? And and if anyone who has a relationship with money where they're like, who avoids their finances, like they avoid looking at their bank statement, their credit cards, they are like my ideal client, because they have such a deep rooted trauma when it comes to their finances that they don't even want to look at it. So yeah, anyone who doesn't really understand money and who's trying to figure out, how does this money work? Forget about investment, buying stocks and flipping homes and all those things, but really your relationship with money. Do you have a negative relationship with money? When you sit down with yourself, when you talk about money, how does it make you feel? Do you get a little anxious? Or if someone asks you questions like, oh, what's your credit score? Do you want to just get up and run? Or do you feel offended? Those are the people, because there's so much guilt and shame around money, but it actually really doesn't have a lot to do with you personally. It has a lot more to do with your trauma. The habits are just a byproduct of something way deeper, way inside you. Like, and it doesn't have to be that you had like a financially abusing partner or something like that. It could merely just be that you went through poverty, or you lost your job, or you had a single parent who worked around the clock and you barely saw them, you know, or going hungry. Like those are the things, and they spill into other areas of our lives, like eating habits. People who have gone through poverty, they have an unhealthy eating habit. Some of them, like they don't know when the next meal is going to come from, or where, or when. So they, whatever is in front of them, they have to eat it all.
Great
It is like
indicator.
so deeply rooted, and we don't really see like the impact of it in all other areas of our lives.
Yes, and these are great indicators that Miss Priya is referring to here. That lets us know, there's definitely some trauma there when it comes to the, mental and emotional for finances. So these are
Yes.
great indicators. So for those of you that are out there, if these are signs it is that you're seeing here and what it is that we're discussing today, you definitely want to reach out to Miss Priya here. Get a consultation or something, find out, your I'll say emotional barriers here, when it comes to money. Why don't you go ahead and let our listeners know, how does one contact you?
The best way, everyone is on social media. So that's the easiest. You can find me on Instagram. And if you just search profitcoach.priya, or if you just type in profitcoach.p, my picture, my name will come up. And you just give me a follow and send me a message that you heard me on this talk show, and these are the questions you have. I am happy to give anyone like a 15-minute free consultation. And I tell everyone, please come with a specific problem. Because in 15 minutes, I can still diagnose some of the things that you may be experiencing and give you tips to work through them. I know that money can be hard for a lot of people, and sometimes they can't afford services and whatnot. So, yeah, just come talk to me, and on there you will find like plenty of videos, and I do free workshops all the time on money and stuff like that. So that will be the best place to connect with me, because you will find resources. Or if you are starting a business and you are in California and you want to know what are some of the resources available for entrepreneurs, I will be happy to share them with you. And this way, like those who are like in a place where they're like, oh, I'm financially tight and I can't afford coaches or pay for services and stuff like that, you will always see some kind of free workshop taking place on that's shared on my Instagram. So you can plug into those and get the wealth of knowledge.
Great, great. So let's mention those platforms again where one can find you. Then you mentioned Instagram, and is there any other place else?
Yes, LinkedIn as well as where I'm at, and you can just search by my name on there, Priya Kumar. But I feel like Instagram is the most easiest one because I'm the only profit coach on there. So once you type in profit coach dot, I will be the first one that pops up on there.
It comes up. Awesome, awesome. Let Do you have any upcoming events, maybe any webinars or something for those it is that are out there, listening, tuned in this afternoon that they can, hopefully jump on and learn more about the work it is that you're doing?
Yes, definitely. Actually, next week on the 26th at 11 a.m. Pacific time, I have a workshop. It's a free webinar, and it's called Foundations for Success. So we're going to be talking about more like people who are managers and people who are starting their business, and they really want to know how to find that balance and create that visibility. Most people are working from home and they're trying to get promoted, but then they hit that roadblock of like, oh, people, I have no visibility because I'm not in the office. They don't really see my work and stuff like that, right? So how do you create that visibility for yourself and finding that balance? Like, okay, I'm doing all these things, but I'm feeling burnt out. How do you prevent that? And then the strategies of like prioritizing, because there's so many things happening in our lives, but what are the things that you should prioritize that's going to take you to that next goal and get you that next promotion or that client or whatever it may be. So it's actually on Eventbrite, and it's called Foundations for Success. And if you also go on my Instagram page, there is a link on there as well.
Awesome, awesome. I want to thank you again, Miss Priya, for your time this afternoon, and encourage those out there to go ahead, reach out to her, for those services it is that she offers. And I want to thank you once again for tuning in to Women Empowerment Talk Radio here on Rainier Avenue Radio. World. All right, y'all. Until next time.